NBA DFS show with Jon Impemba and James Grande.
What's going on, FA Nation? Jon Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome to the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Playbook Show. We got 8 games here on a Friday because, James, no late games on the main slate here for Friday. That's right. Your late night hammer starts at 8. Your first game tips off at 7:30, which means you will know before bedtime whether you are in the money or not on this 8-game main slate. No, it is cut off. You know, they don't give us the 10 p.m. games here. Not even giving us, I'm going to check right now. Is there 9 p.m. games we're not getting on this slate as well? Friday. Let's see. Friday. We no 9:30, so no Toronto, Utah, no New Orleans, Denver on this main slate. So 2 games cut off, making it 8. Big news, though, on this slate here. We have the potential return of LaMelo Ball. Fingers crossed this guy just stops stepping on ankles or whatever, man. He's so fun to watch, but fingers crossed. Could see him back $9,500. Joel Embiid already ruled out for this game for the Philadelphia 76ers. Can only miss 8 more games to be eligible for end of season awards. Your MVP favorite for basically the majority of this season no longer is now plus 500. Not due to performance, due to availability, as they say. So that is certainly something to pay attention to. The Miami Heat are in danger of being without most of their team in this one. Butler, Hero, Lowry, Martin, already all questionable, out or doubtful for this game. So got to look for that matchup for them there. Wemby is going to be available for this one. The San Antonio Spurs are on the front leg of a back-to-back. Dun, 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 dun. Wemby's going to play the front leg, though. He's not cleared to play back-to-backs quite yet, so he won't be on the back leg of there. But what do you do with Vassell, Keldon Johnson, Trey Jones, the whole team there, with it being a back-to-back for San Antonio? We also have our favorite matchup of the year, Indiana Pacers versus the Atlanta Hawks. Unfortunately, no Tyrese Halliburton.
Big omission there for sure.
But still a game total of 254.5 there in this one. Atlanta is a 6-point favorite. We also have Sacramento Philly at a 240 game total. That's what we have for totals right now at the time of recording. Philadelphia is still a 1-point home favorite in that game. Houston, Detroit's 227. Detroit getting 8. Orlando, Miami. Miami's still giving 3. Despite potentially being without all of those players, and their 3-point home favorites at a 218 game total against Orlando. For them, there no Franz Wagner, no Gary Harris, no Jonathan Isaac, no Wendell Carter for Orlando in that game. So yeah, some notable news and notes there to pay attention to. Chicago Golden State is a 228.5 game total. Chicago is a 3-point home favorite against the struggling Golden State Warriors, where I saw today some talks are heating up with them and the Toronto Raptors.
Did you also see Curry's comments?
I did not see Curry's
where
comments.
he said it would be crazy to think this roster is going to, if it stays the same. And then he basically said, like, what's that adage? If it what's the definition of insanity if you do the same thing
over and over again
and expect it to change? And so that was super thoughtful and crazy news, because then Golden State came out and said, or there was reports that everyone but Steph Curry is available for trade.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Except
Steph Curry.
Klay Thompson, see you in Toronto. Pascal Siakam, you're on your way.
Would not be a bad trade.
Jonathan Kuminga, Klay Thompson, and Mastas Modi to Toronto for Pascal Siakam.
Not be a bad trade for Golden State if they got Siakam.
You know, ship Draymond somewhere so he stops getting suspended for them, you know, like, and call it a day. Anyways, we got a lot to get to. 8 games here, so let's just jump into the fun. Point guard position, Trae Young's $9,900, a returning, maybe limited-ish, potentially. The last time he was limited, he still played 30 in LaMelo Ball. Maxi's at 93, Fox at 91, Curry is 9K here. How do you approach the top half point guard position here?
Like, it's a great spot for LaMelo Ball, obviously. Man, I don't know. We'd obviously have to find out what the minutes were because
Sure.
he's obviously not discounted at all. It's obviously a great spot. Trey, great spot for him. Wasn't great the last time they played. They also got absolutely demolished in that game where they lost 50. So I'd be okay getting to Trey. I think Tyrese Maxey is a fantastic play. We got the ceiling Maxey game without Embiid. This is another, and weren't we talked about it? Like
Yeah.
during that span that Embiid missed, it was just like killer defense after killer defense. Now Maxey gets Atlanta and Sacramento back to back. Like saw 67 fantasy points, almost triple double.
Did you see the foul that he fouled out on?
It was
It was Trey putting his shoulder into him while he had his hand straight up. Like it was not a block, but he ended up fouling out on that one. Dude,
Yeah, brutal.
3 straight games with 9 assists is huge for Maxey here.
Yep.
I'm with you. $9,300 at this spot, far too cheap. Nothing against Fox in 91. Obviously, we know he can do the dance as well at that price in this matchup. Out on Curry on the road against the Bulls.
Agreed. Very, very, very slow matchup. Very slow paced game. No thanks.
Anthony Edwards under 9K against Portland, who's going to be on the second leg of a road back-to-back. Something to consider potentially here. Rudy Gobert is, I think I saw probable to play in this one. So
he is
we'll
questionable. He is officially listed questionable.
So we'll see what happens. Obviously in that matchup, but obviously really good spot for him against Portland. Rozier, we probably need to take a step back if LaMelo's in at $8,800. You have Harden at 86 against a Memphis team that now no longer has Marcus Smart again, missing 6 weeks, but a finger injury that he hit a 3 with. So, I don't know if he broke his finger on the 3, like catching the ball, or what happened there. But
celebration, it was on the celebration.
Was it?
He dislocated on the celebration, which only happens to
Marcus Smart.
Marcus Smart and the Memphis is here apparently.
Anyways, Memphis is back down to giving us Rose and Gilliard like point guard rotations here. Maybe the fake Woj Twitter wasn't all that wrong to sign Isaiah Thomas, which Isaiah Thomas himself commented on. Did you happen to see?
No, I did not.
He made a tweet. It's like, that's a fake Twitter, but like, honestly, would be something about like love to get back in the game. Like, stay tuned.
Yep.
Maybe something happening, yada, yada, yada. They need some point guard help here. But Harden's 86. That one's probably going to be a blowout. Van Vliet against Detroit at 79. It is a good price tag for Van Vliet, but obviously the Pistons aren't hanging with anybody these days. Kobe White, another monster performance out of him here. 43 minutes again, big time, 50 fantasy point game. We've rambled on a lot of names here. Where are we stopping the pinwheel?
I mean, I'd be okay. I'm definitely okay getting to Rozier if LaMelo does not play. Obviously the upgrade, the Shams tweet itself is a good indication that LaMelo does return, but if he doesn't, perfectly fine getting to Rozier. Checks notes. Houston is on the road here, John.
Sure.
Just gonna say it. I'm not gonna say that they're not gonna smash Detroit. Detroit has been competitive in the first half of each of the last 2 games.
Detroit had a 50-point swing in that game against Sacramento. So
they have, if you combine them, they've been competitive for a full game over the last 2.
Sure.
They have been very uncompetitive in the second half of both those games. For what it's worth, I said it, on last show, and I'll say it again. Houston's been terrible on the road. They came back and they battled back against the Bulls in that game to force overtime, but they're losing consistently on the road. They're 3-13 on the road. Like, they win all their games at home. They
pointed this out earlier this month. Fred VanVleet's home minutes per game is 35. His road minutes per game is 39. There's a reason for that. They're more competitive or they're down in those games on the road. So, in turn, it's allowed him to score way more fantasy points when on the road, and he's got back-to-back 50 bombs. So, certainly can do that against Detroit, assuming that game is at all competitive here.
Wait, John, like live realizing that they're Detroit, this is one of 2 things can happen, and both are great news for me with Houston in this spot, and we'll get to it.
Sengun dominates.
No. Come on. Who's my boy on Houston? I mean, Sengun's my boy.
More, my friend.
We'll get there in a few.
We will. I haven't even looked at his prices. Have you checked?
No, I haven't. Oh, It's a little too expensive, but
65 probably.
No. We'll get to it.
Speaking of expensive, JJ McConnell, $7K, played 22 minutes against Washington. So I'm not paying $7K.
No, me neither.
Vassell 73, Ivy 69, all expensive. Melton came back, he's 65. I don't know. I don't really care for much here in this range.
I mean, Ivy was really good again for what it's worth. 39 fantasy points, 40 fantasy points in back-to-back games. I would be okay getting to Jaden Ivey. Cade Cunningham's not there, right? Like, it's just what it is. Like, Houston's a good defensive team, but they don't have the best.
He just played Sacramento and San Antonio, so.
No, I know, but they also don't have Dylan Brooks or Tari Eason, like two guys that are very annoying to play offense against. So, just throwing it out there as an option as a guy who's been over a fantasy point per minute, who has a good usage rate without Cade Cunningham, and continues to be very productive.
All righty. Let's see. What's our next stop? Trey Jones here, 62.
Yeah, lost out on blowout run. Haven't been able to say that a lot this year for San Antonio. I was scrolling through to see if they have a 2-game winning streak. They do. It was that Phoenix game where they won back home and home against Phoenix.
Yeah. The Wemby game.
The Wemby game for James. And so, yeah, I mean, Trey Jones 62, probably max I would get to in terms of price point, but I'd be okay going there. Like, I'd probably rather play Malik Monk at that price. 60.
Sure.
I mentioned it the other day. They're not using a backup point guard. They did it again. They played Monk 30 minutes. He was super good again. There's probably even a higher ceiling if that game stays competitive, remotely competitive. So Malik Monk, ultimate green light.
Nembhard played 26 minutes again. They just kind of like split the minutes at guard here, so he's infinitely cheaper than TJ McConnell.
What a stinker, huh? What an absolute.
He's got a 254.5 game total. Somebody on the Indiana Pacers has to do something here, right?
Bruce Brown again. Apparently, Bruce Brown just ran the show, did everything for this team. I'm not saying I'm not interested in Nembhard, but who's to say if Nembhard starts the way he started again, that we don't see McConnell 26 minutes and Nembhard 22?
Sure.
And then what? Then we're in deep waters with Andrew Nembhard.
So I skipped by him, but I guess I have to go back to him because Moses Moody just got ruled out for Friday's slate. Brandon Podzinski, $5,900.
It's unfortunate for Moses Moody.
No Paul, no Moody now, no Gary Payton.
Yeah, he seemingly has to play minutes. He's hit a kind of a wall, I would say, these last two games, especially offensively, but the peripheral stats have still been pretty elite. He's an elite rebounding guard.
By default, he has to see more time, right? So he's there at $5,900. If everybody's out for Miami, I mean, Richardson's certainly appealing.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be the one to get the rub last time. They started Tyler Hero at point guard. They just played the starters, essentially. Like, Jovic didn't come off the floor. Like, nobody came off the floor.
But now there might not be Hero or Lowry.
They are going to be depleted. Lowry all but out. He's doubtful. Hero at least has a chance to play, listed questionable. So if Hero sits, I'm definitely a little bit intrigued in Josh Richardson.
Obviously, we'll have to wait and see on the LaMelo news, but Nick Smith, somebody that you've touted a few times now, did get the 25 minutes against Sacramento. 415 is great. Didn't really give you enough secondary production there to get you the fantasy points you were looking for, but he's still 4,200. If things stay status quo in Charlotte for this matchup, willing to go back to Nick Smith here?
Yeah, I think interesting note here. He played 5 first half minutes. They played James Bouknight over him. I was freaking out. He started the second half alongside Terry Rozier. If there's no LaMelo, there's a legitimate chance they just start Nick Smith tonight.
Sure.
Like, there's Bryce McGowan's didn't even play in the second half. I think there's a legitimate chance if we don't see LaMelo and Nick Smith starts, and in that case, I'm highly intrigued. Again, 15 shot attempts in 25 minutes. Like, he just gets on the floor and he's going to shoot a lot.
Shooting guard here, Desmond Baines up to $9,100. Obviously now, but just back to what it was 3 weeks ago. No John Morant, no Marcus Smart. It's him and Luke Kennard and Triple J, and they suck again. So he's $9,100. Paul George is at $82 in that matchup. Pretty good price tag for Paul George there at $8,200. Zach LaVine, we called it. We said it. $6,700 was too cheap. 60 burger.
Yep.
Now he's 74. Still probably too cheap.
And he was starting to make shots late in that game. Like, he had a really good overtime.
13 boards probably not going to happen again, but
no. Hey man, no minutes limit. Shot attempts, thank you for actually shooting. And he can be good peripherally.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot to contend with there, but we missed out on the 6,700 for sure. That's not happening ever.
Well, I wouldn't say we missed out. We called it.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, that's just never going to happen again.
Sure,
like, if you didn't play him, like, that's it.
Agreed.
Okay. That ship has sailed.
6K range down here. You have Mathurin, Oubre, Bogdan. You mentioned Monk already. What's your grouping there?
I liked the Mathurin minutes. 6,400. I like the price as well. So, I'd be willing to go back to the well. 16, 7, and 1. Like, he was fine. He obviously didn't pay up the price, but this is an elite spot for him. 4 for 13 from the floor. John, 8 for 8 free throws for Mathurin. Like, that's what last year's version was, right? Like, getting to the free throw line that consistent. So, I'm definitely intrigued in Ben Mathurin, 6,400. No one's going to play him at this price. We saw that last slate. Nobody played him. And
I was a little frustrated with his floor time in that game. I know he got 28 minutes, but
first half sucked. 11 first half minutes sucked.
Mm-hmm.
It was annoying.
I did not understand that usage for him there. So we'll have to wait and see. But hopefully he continues to play a lot of minutes, because this is a matchup that they could use him. Obviously, only played 18 minutes in that blowout there against somebody at 28 fantasy points, averaging 8.5 actual points a game against Atlanta this year. So some good spots. Any other shooting guards down here for you that you have some interest in? I'm looking for our guy. There he is. Shaedon Sharpe, 5,900. Tough matchup on the second leg of a back-to-back here.
Yeah, and the price is up $500 from the Thursday slate, 5,400. I would say the other guy that I am intrigued by at this pricing tier, I mean, it is definitely intriguing to see Jalen Green play 40 minutes, because Jalen Green has lost out a lot of time lately. Obviously benefited from overtime, but 35 minutes in regulation for Jalen Green is as much as it's been in quite a while.
Yeah.
So 6K against Detroit for Jalen Green. And if you remember, Jalen Green was kind of pissed at Detroit for not taking him number one and taking Cade. So that's, a little narrative there if you want to, for those in the narrative streets. But it is really going to be guaranteed Bruce Brown's ownership is going to be sky high. Shooting guard, small forward. He was the best player on the floor for Indiana for most of that night. Probably 27 minutes is not great, but 16, 9, and 6 with a block and a steal.
Buddy Hield just got iced out of that game.
Completely iced. And they played, I don't know if you saw, they played our boy at power forward. They played our boy Jordan Nwora a lot of minutes in that game. So, like, Carlisle messing around with the rotations a little bit. I think Bruce Brown would be the guy for me in this tier.
Norm Powell playing minutes again, just as we've said, 25, 27 in there, decent guy off the bench. But I keep mentioning him, did not have a good game against the Thunder. But if everybody's out at $4,900, Duncan Robinson probably starts if Tyler Hero's out of this game. And we've seen him when Tyler Hero missed that time. Like, he was popping. He was leading the team in shot attempts at some of these days here. He had back-to-back 40 fantasy point games. I would have a lot of Duncan Robinson interest in this one if Hero is out, Butler's out, and Martin continues to be out.
Agreed. And for what it's worth, Duncan Robinson is playmaking off the dribble this year, something we've never seen. Like, they could reliably go to Duncan Robinson for heavy minutes and have him handle the ball a lot of this game if needed. Yeah.
Luke Kennard's here at 4,800. Got 23 minutes there. Hit a lot of threes again. No Smart now? Like, do they start him, and does he get 30 minutes at this point? Like, what do you think that rotation looks like with Kennard here?
So he's been starting. So I think he's going to continue to start. I think he's on a minutes limit. So if we get word from Taylor Jenkins that there's like some type of lift of the limit, I mean, he's been back for 6 games. you have to assume eventually the minutes are going to go up. They have steadily increased 20, 22, 23. I definitely could see a scenario where he gets to 25, 26 minutes in this spot. I don't know why it's such a slow burn, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they're doing this to like protect them from when they eventually trade him, because I think Luke Kennard's going to be a highly coveted trade target for how well he shoots from three and spaces the floor for a team. So
Yeah.
I'd be okay getting to Luke Kennard. I feel that way kind of about Memphis shooting guards in general. They gave Zaire Williams now shooting guard eligibility. He played 27 minutes in back-to-back games, and you and I've kind of talked to you about him for a couple slates now. Like,
Yeah.
he's back in favor with Memphis, right? They're very shorthanded. What I think happens is either we see Gilliard get called up from the G League because he's been in the G League. I mean, I assume he gets called up either way.
Yeah.
He's going to be on the roster and he starts, or they do that like weird Concher starting lineup where Concher is just like more lineup filler than actual point guard, because
Right.
you have Desmond Bane just
Yeah, Bane run point.
right. So I think those are your probably two scenarios. Kennard's going to start, Bane's going to start, Jaren Jackson's going to start. Interesting what they do. I guess Xavier Tillman's going to start because they waived Biyombo.
Yeah.
So if maybe they go Jaren Jackson at the 5 here, and you do see like Zaire starting or Vince Williams starting or something of that in that.
Yeah.
But
What was the move there for Biyombo getting waived?
they
What did
signed. So Vince Williams was a 2-way.
Oh,
So they
that's what it
needed
was.
to they needed to sign him for the season.
Got it.
So to clear up the roster spot, Biyombo was a victim.
Helping Monk, by the way, was a Hoarder injury there.
Yes, for sure. And that's not going to hurt. Even if they start Duarte, we know Duarte had one good game. He's dust. Like, he's dust. It's going to be the Malik Monk show if and when Hoarder's ruled out. Hoarder, I think, is only listed questionable in this game.
Yeah. Yeah. Small forward. We have a lot of these guys we've discussed already. Kawhi's at 87. But we have talked a lot about Tobias Harris here without Joel Embiid on the floor. He's been a monster this year. 54 fantasy points in that overtime game. Get Sacramento here. This is still too cheap of a price tag if this is the version of Tobias Harris we're going to be getting when Embiid's off the floor.
Dude, I'm super appealed at like a game stack of this one. Like,
yeah, why not? High game total 1 point spread.
Dude, if you can find a way to like Maxey Harris Sabonis, like that's your start, or like Harris Sabonis or
Sure.
Maxey Harris, just one side of this game. Like, there's a lot of really appealing parts, and this is a fun version of Tobias Harris that like we haven't gotten to see in a few years because James Harden existed in this Philly ecosystem, and Harris is just like, hey, by the way, if you guys need, like, I can go out and give you 30 on a given night or 20 a night. Like, if you guys need it, just, I'm here, and here he is, and I've loved this version of Tobias Harris for sure.
Yep, agreed. DeRozan at 71 now.
Whoa!
I'm just saying, at some point he's too cheap. It's too cheap at some point.
It's worth noting because he was terrible from the floor in that Houston game. Like, what if he's even like moderately bad, 7 of 19, or moderately like average? Like, if he's shooting
3 of 6 from 3, by the way.
Yeah, 3 of 6 on a night. He goes 5 of 19 from the floor. Go figure. Yeah, like I definitely prefer the Bull side of this game. Like, just with how uncertain everything is in Golden State, like they are completely blowing up in front of our eyes. So I told you the Bulls are good at home. Warriors, all these questions. I'd be interested in getting to some Chicago here.
Yeah, for sure. You do have Keldon here at 7K, played 25 minutes in that blowout there, gave you 29 fantasy points, always capable of kind of going off there. We mentioned Oubre, played the minutes, didn't have the production, but Jaime Jaquez here.
Yep.
6K and could have the team by himself. So a lot to like from the rookie.
I mean, does he actually come off the floor? Real question. Does he play
38? You think 38 minutes here?
Yeah, I minute ceiling for sure. Whatever the ceiling is, 38, 39, whatever. If he touches 40, it wouldn't surprise me if all these guys are out. Now, he hasn't had he's had the one ceiling game where he just exploded, and I'm not saying that won't happen. But other than that, it's really been like just good, steady workman-like 9 to 5 production, right? Like,
Yeah.
because he's $6,000. I would definitely have interest in tournaments if it's him and Bam alone, like together, because and like if Hero's there, cash games definitely on the table.
Yep. Agreed. Now Orlando's obviously a tough matchup, but they're without guys too.
A lot
So
of guys. Yep.
certainly helps that spot a little bit for him there. Working our way down, you do have Vince Williams up to $5,300 now, still in your play.
No, not a 53. Not with like his foul trouble nature. He's very good defensively. I mean, Kawhi's version, Paul George, Harden. This game is. I'm worried about Memphis here.
Okay. Small forward value plays. Anybody of interest here? Obviously, Caleb Houston's down here at $4,800. Chuma, Caruso, Wiggins, Kyle Anderson broke the slate the other day. If he finds himself back in the starting lineup, like what are your thoughts?
I mean, you know where the chalk's going. Obviously, we just saw what Kyle Anderson would do. And you know how Portland plays. They play Jeremy Grant at the 4. So it's not going to be another double big day for it's going to be a Kyle Anderson starting and playing big minutes day. So, I mean, he would be super popular. If you want to, he's like a mediocre fantasy producer. So, you know, who had a ceiling game. Good for him. If that's a spot you want to fade, you can fade it. Cam Whitmore's 4,300. And I'm not going to sit here and say he's going to play 33 minutes again because that's obviously not guaranteed.
He might.
But they closed with him over Jayshawn Tate when they needed offense.
Mm-hmm.
There's multiple scenarios at play here, right? One, he plays over Jayshawn Tate again and or whoever in the second unit, Amen Thompson, whatever, because they need him to. There's a blowout scenario here where he plays because he plays in blowouts. Like, there's multiple paths that Cam Whitmore can maybe not get 30 minutes, but like
starts the game.
If he started
against Detroit,
6 to midnight,
if he started against Detroit.
I mean, if there's a spot to like get your like rookie, like clearly like talented offensive player, like a taste of starting in the NBA, wouldn't this be the spot?
Again, mentioned Caleb Houston, Chuma Okeke both played 30 plus minutes. They'll continue to have those roles there. And then you talked about NEW, got 40 minutes in the OT game, 4,100. If they go back without Gobert, you probably see similar matchup here for him.
Well, the one thing I'll say is he also started at point guard.
Conley's back.
And Conley is off the injury report with the back-to-back. So if they did go small and use Jaden McDaniels at the 4 instead of starting Kyle Anderson and went
I feel like we've seen NEW start more often when guys have been out. So.
Then Kyle Anderson, then Kyle Anderson. And the last time there just happened to be 2 starters out, right? So that's a good shout. There's probably a good chance that like they just move McDaniels to the 4 because if you think about that, McDaniels probably matches up with Jeremy Grant regardless of like starting lineup. So that would make a whole lot of sense. I'm okay with it. We know, he's not a great fantasy producer, but he definitely had a very good fantasy game. This year. Yeah, he definitely. Bankero
$9,200. I mean, sure, tough spot against Minnesota. 8 of 22 was nice to see. Didn't have the peripheral games that he's had in recent times. 3 steals is great. 3 straight games now with 3 steals. And we keep talking about it like Miami could be without a whole bunch of players. They'll still have Bam, but the rest of that starting lineup may not be there. So you have Bankero at 92, or you have a limited version of Wemby that went for 50 again. 3 straight 50 fantasy point outings for Wembanyama. 21 minutes he took him to do this time in Detroit. He triple-doubled in 21 minutes. So
with no blocks.
Yeah, no blocks, no steals. If he had 5 blocks in the game, he went for 70 in 21 minutes. Like
there is no chance over under 4.5 games for the remainder of the year where he doesn't record a block or a steal.
Yeah.
Easy under, right? That's like the easiest under of all time. Under 1.5.
And now
or
he gets
over under
what has been
1.5 games. the rest of the
once
year.
again, one of the easiest positions for opposing centers in the NBA. We thought, when they had Mark Williams, they got a little bit better. Mark Williams hasn't been able to get on the floor, and they suck again. So it's not unreasonable to think that Wemby goes for 50 in 21 minutes, 25 minutes again here.
Yeah, and they blew him out, right? So he didn't even need to get extended. There's obviously you've pointed it out, like 25 to 26 minutes. It seems to be like that
And he's
new
not
benchmark.
playing Saturday. They
And,
already said that. So.
and he's not playing Saturday. Right. But like, would you rather play that, or would you rather just go down to 7,200 and play my boy Jalen Johnson, who is like, I'm kidding. I would obviously be okay with playing Wemby. I just really want to talk about Jalen Johnson.
Yeah, go to Jalen Johnson, man, right here.
Like, I know we're skipping over Kawhi and Miles Bridges and Towns are all like fine, but how do we not just play this guy at 7,200 when he's playing 40 minutes a night? And like, he played 40 minutes in regulation and in overtime, so there's just like, they're just okay playing Jalen Johnson as many minutes as possible. I believe Clint Capella is probable, so he's going to return here. But I said it to you before that status was updated last game, that Jalen Johnson was leading the team in rebound opportunities since he returned from his fractured wrist. And then he went out and grabbed 16 rebounds. And I know Capella's going to be back and grab a bunch of rebounds, but Jalen Johnson's averaging more rebounds attempts per game than Clint Capella when Capella's on the floor. This is also not a good spot for Clint Capella, John, who's averaged 19 minutes a game against Indiana, because the frenetic pace that they're playing at is just not what Clint Capella is they're keeping him on the floor for. So Jalen Johnson 7,200 is an elite play for me in tournaments. He's going to get a lot of ownership, I expect, even with Clint Capella back, just given what he continuously is doing.
100%. Would you rather play him, Toby, DeRozan? Like, it's a really strong 7K tier here.
I mean, Jalen Johnson's the guy in the 250 total. Toby is in the 240. I feel like I'm more willing to play those guys than DeRozan. But obviously DeRozan's price stands out the most, just knowing what we've seen from DeRozan's price and what it is. I would still go Johnson though, and Harris. I think they've both shown higher ceilings lately than.
I said I didn't think Keegan Murray could do it again, and he did. Went for 40 actual here. Gets Philly this time around. He's $6,300. Jabari Smith took 47 minutes, but he got you 42 fantasy points there against Chicago. He gets Detroit. We mentioned obviously already Jaquez. Thoughts on this 6K range?
Yeah, Keegan Murray, 49, 40 fantasy points, price gone down, $200. So firmly in play for Keegan Murray, 35 to 40 minutes somewhere in competitive games. There's even higher minute ceiling than what he's played. You mentioned the Jabari Smith minutes. 2 of the last 3 he's played 40, because that's what can happen and largely does happen when there's no Tari Eason on the floor. So perfectly fine getting to either guy. I probably lean Jabari a little bit. But if you're like getting game stack Sacramento Philly, which again I think is like extremely reasonable, Keegan Murray obviously can break a slate. We've seen it on multiple occasions here. A guy had 12 threes in a game, 47 actual in a game, has 25 or more in 3 of his last 5 games. Like, it's very reasonable to get to either of those guys. I think I'd probably put Murray and Smith firmly ahead of Jaquez in tournaments.
Jaquez has a great cash
like
game.
Even if all those
5K range, Gonku here, but it has to deal with a Capella back. Naz Reid, 5,700, will have to deal with Gobert potentially coming back here. Sohan, Kuminga, Bay still $5,500. Even with Capella back, I like the Bay price a lot still. He still plays a whole bunch of minutes. Mo Wagner with the dual positional eligibility at $5,400 is certainly appealing. Like, what are your thoughts in the 5K range?
Yeah, 5K range is interesting. Ngankwu is also like a guy that hasn't gotten a lot of time versus Indiana. Again, they did get blown out, so we'll have to look at the box scores to see how that first game played out. But Naz Reid, 57 if there's no Gobert. Obviously, someone that was extended 37 minutes was amazing, back-to-back double-doubles now, and he's on one of those Naz Reid heaters. There's obviously a case to be made that they blew out Portland on the second leg of a back-to-back. So definitely interested in Naz. Kuminga, just with every good thing going on there. Sadiq, for sure, very safe play. Mo Wagner. Look, as long as Wendell Carter, who I think is questionable. If Wendell Carter is out, what is Wendell Carter officially? He's questionable. If Wendell Carter plays, I just have no interest in the center rotation at all. Because I know Mo Wagner is a good fantasy point per
I was
guy,
right and wrong on Wagner against Minnesota because Gobert had a big game, but so did Mo Wagner. So
yeah, you were definitely right on the Wagner front in his fantasy points. He just can't defend anybody, which is why it scares me when Carter's back, because they could just ice Wagner. I mean, he played 13 minutes in one of those games when they were all healthy, right? So it's really,
but it's funny
Wagner
when he gets hurt, he's going up there 19, 15, 21, 43, 26, 38.
Right.
He's a beast. Right. The Wagner brothers out here are just Orlando Magic here. Yeah, so value Neesmith 52. A lot of guys we've talked about. Jovic, I mean, he keeps playing minutes. He's definitely going to play minutes if everybody's out. Yeah.
Firmly. Yeah. I mean, it's another all right, well, he has a 21 to 33
they played
minute
Highsmith 35 minutes too. What a weird rotation.
Dude, they started him. They started both of them. I mean, who would you rather play? Nikola Jovic or
this is the best shooting we've seen out of Highsmith. I think I'd rather go Jovic.
Yeah. I don't expect 5 for 7 from 3 for Highsmith again.
Agreed. Yeah. Center position. Sabonis is 10-2. Went for 50 in a game he played 28 minutes because
he was going to have 100 fantasy points.
100%. Wemby's there. Bam by himself against Orlando at $8,800. Şengün at 84 against Detroit. Certainly appealing.
Yes.
Bridges has a dual positional eligibility. Towns, what are we doing here?
That's new, right, for Bridges? Center eligibility?
Might be, yeah.
Miles Bridges has not had center eligibility. I'm definitely in on Sabonis with no Paul Reed and Mo Bamba and Morris have literally no chance to guard Sabonis here. We kind of talked about that last game. We saw Ngakoue face Paul Reed, double-double, immediately got off to a big start, slowed down, then a massive fourth quarter, in overtime. Ngakoue double-doubles. I mean, Sabonis is going to take Paul Reed's lunch here. No offense to Paul Reed. I think he's a fine player, but he's not Joel Embiid. So love Sabonis. We talked about Wemby, love him in tournaments. Bam, you can definitely get to. If it's Bam by himself, a lot of interest there. No matter who's on the other side. We just know, we saw it kind of, right?
It's a 29% usage rate with Martin, Butler, Lowry, and Hero off the floor if that was the way they were going to go.
And there's serious triple-double upside because they're just going to use Bam as the hub every single time down the floor. He's going to have multiple touches every time down. Jalen Duren is very foul happy. Good player, but very foul happy. Şengün could put him in the blender early in this game. And then you're talking about James Wiseman as the backup center. Love Şengün, and his price is falling despite him playing 41 minutes in the last game. Another guy playing more minutes on the road this year, John, because again, Houston in much more competitive road games. So if you think that game can stay close, I do like Jalen Duren on the other side. Another guy who had another big game, sans Cade Cunningham, even in a blowout. And he was in first half foul trouble in that game. $7,400, and Nikola Vucevic, 73, just no limit at all.
Great matchup for him too against the Warriors here.
Great matchup.
Very cheap price tag. Miles Turner, 72. What's his deal? 2 games, not really playing against Atlanta all that well.
He played. So the last game, he dominated 22 minutes, 27 points in 22 minutes, 10 of 14 from the floor. But again, only limited to 22 minutes because they scored 150 points.
Mid-tier guys for you?
Was a non.
Do you want Reese maybe? Zubac? What are we thinking?
Reith with Minnesota on the other side on a second leg of a back-to-back, I'd probably pass. Nick Richards, I think, is fine. 26 minutes, like didn't really have an opportunity to close
Like
that
the price is
game.
coming down on him.
Yeah, like the price. I like the price on Paul Reed. Hate that he only played 19 minutes in a game where he wasn't in foul trouble. So he's probably like someone you can just
Drummond didn't
avoid.
play. Tillman, right? Like,
I assume Tillman's
double, and they don't
start.
have a backup big. So
I mean, like, there's always the chance they just move to the Jaren Jackson at 5 lineup.
What's Santi already ruled out? So
wouldn't if they like Jaren Jackson at the 5, wouldn't they have done that instead of signing Bismack? Right? Like, it's just they would never sign Bismack. I don't think they would start Tillman. So I think Tillman's firmly in play here.
Jackson Davis, Love.
Toppin was really good. At 47 the other day.
Jalen Smith is out. Is Jalen Smith out again?
I think he is questionable.
If Jalen Smith's out, I think that rotation probably knows where we'll go with it.
As questionable.
Okay.
And then where is Isaiah Jackson?
41.
Yeah, Isaiah Jackson. He was pretty popular the other day. Dude, he's just a really good fantasy point per minute guy. This figures to be a good spot for him. And you never know with the Miles Turner foul trouble always benefits Isaiah Jackson a little bit more. So
yeah,
definitely could get to some Isaiah Jackson here.
I agree with you. Jalen Johnson. What's our value coming from?
I mean, Miami value, obviously Minnesota value. Memphis, you can play like Zaire or Kennard. That would obviously like definitive value there. Like we know at least Memphis is going to play.
Do like Houston or Okeke here?
Yeah, one of those.
Yeah, we'll do Whitmore for sure.
Yeah, Whitmore for sure. He's going to play either way.
Houston's been getting more of the minutes, so
and he has a higher ceiling because he just shoots, right? Like he's just like he's out there to space the floor for them. I mean, 10 threes last game.
Then Zaire, that does give us Zaire if you want.
I'd be okay with Zaire. He'll play in a blowout, and he's been closing games too for them.
So Maxey, Richardson, Whitmore, Jalen Johnson, Domantas Sabonis, Luke Kennard, Caleb Houston, and Zaire Williams. Again, giving us a little Philly, Sacramento 2-man there with the best 2 players on that team. You get Jalen Johnson against the Pacers in a high spot there. And some value to build around them. 8 games there on a Friday. I'm on your playbook, so be on the lookout for that. Of course, we'll be back live 5 o'clock Eastern time, giving you all the latest news and updates for this 8-game main slate. If you haven't already, like the channel, subscribe, never miss a show. James and I will be back later. We'll catch you then.